Vou atender um pedido do Catalano, que ele quer que toque Tristeza. Do Haroldo?
Ah, pois é. Vamos dedicar essa ao Haroldo, né?
Claro.
Meu companheiro de rua, meu companheiro de infância. Mesma rua, junto comigo, assim.
Ah, é?
É, vamos dedicar ele, que ele já se foi.
Tá dedicado já.
É?
Vamos lá.
Marcos Vinicius da Cruz de Melo Moraes was a Brazilian poet, lyricist, playwright, diplomat, and vocalist who changed the style of bossa nova remarkably with his touching lyrics and influence in Brazilian popular music. Born on October 19, 1913 in Rio de Janeiro, Vinicius showed an early interest in poetry in primary school and graduated with a degree in legal and social sciences from the Catete Law School. As a young man, a friendship with Otávio de Faria, a journalist and writer, pushed Vinicius to publish his first book of poems, O Caminho para a Distancia. It was also Faria who encouraged Vinicius to involve himself in the Brazilian Integralist Action, a far-right fascist political party that directly opposed the Communist Party of Brazil. Later in life, Vinicius would consider himself an anti-fascist and a budding communist. After working as a film censor for the Ministry of Education and Health, Vinicius won a scholarship to study English literature and language at the University of Oxford. Upon returning to Rio, his second book, Forma e Exegese, saw critical acclaim as well as winning the Felipe de Oliveira Award. In the years following, Vinicius took up a bohemian lifestyle, frequenting cafes filled with other musicians, poets, writers, and critics. From this creative influence, his style began to fluctuate, often leaving his original form in favor of Shakespearean sonnets, of which he is best known for. In 1954, Vinicius wrote the play Orfeo de Conceição, an adaptation of the Greek myth of Eurydice and Orpheus in the form of the carnivals of Rio. The play was turned into the film Orfeo do Carnaval, later renamed Black Orpheus. This movie spawned many fundamental albums in jazz and bossa nova history, including Wayne Shorter's Black Orpheus and Vince Guaraldi's Jazz Impressions of Black Orpheus. Even Jean-Michel Basquiat mentioned the movie as one of his early influences. Vinicius enlisted the help of the unknown pianist Antonio Carlos Jobim and guitarist Luis Bonfa, launching the career of both musicians. Both musicians went on to have incredibly successful careers in music. In 1958, the singer Eliseth Cardoso released her album Canção do Amor Demais, considered to be the very first bossa nova album. Included in the album are 13 original compositions of the duo Vinicius and Tom Jobim. In the opening track, Chega da Saudade, another unknown musician, João Gilberto, plays a revolutionary guitar accompaniment that turns into the standard rhythm that defines the bossa nova sound. In 1964, 10 years later, João Gilberto collaborates with American saxophonist Stan Getz. Together they record some of the greatest bossa nova hits, such as The Girl from Ipanema, or Garoto do Ipanema, and Desafinado, with new American influence with the improvisation in jazz style. American audience raved over this new laid-back style of jazz, making João Gilberto and his Brazilian companions superstars. Vinicius saw moderate fame from this boom, yet decided not to pursue music entirely in favor of his career in diplomacy and poetry. 1964 also was the year of the coup d'etat by the Brazilian armed forces, with support from the United States government against President João Goulart. Under this regime, Vinicius was released from his diplomatic position in 1968, a fact that deeply upset him for the rest of his life. 1970, he met Toquinho, and the two became great friends and musical partners until Vinicius' death in 1980 at the age of 66.
Nevadinho, olha, essa é pra você, viu? Essa é diretamente de Milão aí pra sua casinha na Barra.
Mas peraí, Vininha, só que essa eu quero cantar.
Ah, então tá aí. Canta essa, compadre.
Ah, claro.
É?
Adoro essa música. Aí, Badeco, lá vai.
Antonio Pecci Filho, or Toquinho, is a Brazilian singer, guitarist, and composer. Born on July 6, 1946 in central Sao Paulo, Toquinho was first exposed to music through his father's records, including music from Luis Gonzaga, Orlando Silva, Angelia Maria, and other Brazilian singers who produced music in the 1950s and 60s. He began music initially with the violin, but later transitioned to the guitar after falling in love with music from João Gilberto. Toquinho was driven to learn the popular music of Brazil at the time, bossa nova, made popular by artists such as Antonio Carlos Jobim, João and Astrid Gilbert, and Vinicius de Morales. Toquinho began his professional career playing shows directed by Walter Silva. He found his calling playing bossa nova around Sao Paulo. Toquinho established a strong relationship with Chico Buarque and toured Sao Paulo alongside him and others such as Elis Regina. In 1966, he released his first LP, O Violão do Toquinho, an instrumental LP that demonstrates Toquinho's unique fingerstyle guitar, both melodically rich in its flow as well as technically challenging. His next LP, Toquinho, released in 1970, incorporated his voice for the first time as well as more exploration into his own unique bossa nova style. Toquinho's third LP, Como Dizia a Poeta, 1971, included a collaboration from Vinicius de Morales and Mariela Medhala, being Toquinho's first professional work with Vinicius. This encounter launched a long-lasting friendship between the two up until Vinicius' death in 1980 on July 9th. In total, they made 6 albums together and multiple compilations and memorial albums in the years following Vinicius' death. O Poeta y el Violão is an album that takes the listener through the history of bossa nova, not only by exposure to the various hit songs of the genre, but also by touching on the reasons why bossa nova became popular in the first place. As bossa nova became Americanized, musicians like João Gilberto and Tom Jobim generally catered more to their middle-class relaxation demographic. American jazz styles mixed heavily with this relaxed bossa nova style, and in a new international style of music was being explored by established and incoming musicians. Bossa nova became synonymous with elevator music because of its wild popularity and accessibility with American audiences. This album brings the music back to a quiet purity of guitar and vocals, an imperfect album without sophisticated production that touches the origins of bossa nova. The difference between this album and an album like Getz Gilberto lies in its imperfection. Tristeza begins with a request from Toquinho to play the song, and Vinicius follows with a dedication to Geraldo Lobo, the composer of Tristeza and a longtime friend. This dialogue is incredibly effective in solidifying the album's friendly and open feel, inviting the listener with its pulsating guitar and casual banter. In this song, we meet the two musicians, who by their dialogue alone radiate a feel of friendship and comfort. It is this feel that makes this album so enjoyable and refreshing to listen to. Many dedications are made throughout the album, including to João Gilberto in Chega de Saudade, Chico Buarque in Januaria, and Tom Jobim in Insensitage. The smallest details, like the background lighter clicks of Vinicius, while Toquinho plays a song by himself, or the embedded messages to Jobim and Buarque that they are currently at the Milan recording studio making the album, and sudden decisions to change singing pattern on a fly all show the love that was put into this album. The dedication makes it feel as if this album was never going to be released to the public, as if to say in the circles of musicians for their own enjoyment. The songs that the duo play take the listener throughout the history of bossa nova, from Chega de Saudade, which established João Gilberto as an innovative guitarist, to Garoto de Ipanema, which became one of the most well-known songs in the world. It is interesting to see Vinicius, a man very much near the end of his life and career, revisit his old songs with the young Toquinho, a man still trying to establish himself as an artist. Truly, O Poeta y el Violão shows the best of what bossa nova stands for. O Poeta y el Violão sits at the crossroads of bossa nova, its many connections, references, and influences allowing listeners to look into the legacy of Brazilian popular music. Its references to the composer friends of both Toquinho and Vinicius established this album as a photo album of the lives that were lived while exploring this new wave of music. Not only did the two enjoy the music they play, they enjoy the memories of their friends as they play their music. Outside of the music, the friendship of Toquinho and Vinicius is reason enough to listen to this album, as their love overflows into the music that they play together. In terms of personal enjoyment, I rate this album a 5 out of 5.